great to be here. Thank you for coming out. It's still summer in South Carolina. Thank the good Lord that the nuclear power generation is working here in South Carolina, so we can step into the air conditioning here in just a minute. But first, let me thank SCANA. Let me thank SCE&G, the co-ops for being here today, CNTA. We were up in Oconee earlier today. We had Duke Power up there with us. Of course, we had one of your co-op guys with us up there, Mike. We're also going down to Charleston today to do the same thing with Governor Jim Edwards, former Governor Jim Edwards, who was not only former governor, but former Secretary of Energy. And unfortunately, this is the same stuff that he was working on 25 years ago. We have taken his plan from 1981 when he worked for Ronald Reagan, dusted it off, re-energized it, and guess what? Here we are again today. Tomorrow's too late. Yesterday was not soon enough. And what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is making sure that we have power today for South Carolina, for the nation, and power for the future. Let me give you a couple of statistics. Roughly 50% of our power in South Carolina comes from nuclear generation. We have 7 nuclear reactors right now, 5 that are controlled by Duke, Oconee, Toxaway, Kiwi Toxaway, and Catawba, 1 by Progress, and 1 by SCANA. And we're thinking about, they're in the process right now, of licensing 4 new nuclear reactors in South Carolina. And you talk about exciting, in the things, in the 6 years that I've been in Congress, I've done a lot of things. Nothing gets me more excited of knowing South Carolina can lead the way when it comes to nuclear generation, when it comes to power generation, when it comes to economic growth and creating jobs. The Department of Energy has told us by 2030, that's a little over 20 years from now, we will need to increase our energy capacity by 25%. Now that's not 25% from where we are. That's in addition to. That's taking where we are an additional 25%. So we've got to think outside of the box, and we've got to be proactive. And one of the things we're talking about today is trying to help spur this nuclear renaissance. So let me tell you a little bit about what this bill does. Number one, it addresses construction costs and delays in the permitting process. Loan guarantees. You know, these companies are going to have a tremendous amount of money invested. So we want to make sure that the process is smooth. It looks at ways to increase U.S. manufacturing capacity for the nuclear industry. When you think about some of the things that we need in today's nuclear industry, some of the valves, some of the piping, believe it or not, there's no place in the United States to get that. You have to go to Japan. Why don't we have that here in the good old US of A? This bill addresses that. It talks about the labor shortage and how we address the workforce. When you think about today's nuclear workforce, 50% is 47 years old and older. Now I'm 47, I got a few gray hairs. That's not a bad thing. But if we're going to re-energize this industry, we have to have young people involved, from the technician side to the nuclear scientist. One of the things that I'm really excited about, Florence Tech is entering a program where they are training our nuclear welders, because we have to have experts when it comes to these fields. It addresses tax credits for immediate investment to the tune of 10%. So people can say, hey Gresham, that's a great idea. Hey SCANA, hey Duke, that's a great idea. I want to be involved in that. It addresses current laws regarding public-private partnerships. Now when we think about South Carolina, that's very important, because we're thinking about Santee Cooper and how Santee Cooper is working with SCANA and SCE&G. We make sure that entities like that in South Carolina and throughout this nation are taken care of. It talks about accelerated depreciation for nuclear power plants. And I think one of the most important areas that it addresses is nuclear waste. When we talk about the byproducts, a lot of people have always said, well, Gresham, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you deal with nuclear power generation and then deal with waste? Or do you deal with waste and then deal with nuclear power generation? What this legislation says, guys, we're going to deal with it both. Because what we're proposing here is something out of the ordinary. It is a public-private partnership, a quasi-governmental entity where the government is the overseer and the private sector, trying to depoliticize the process, is handling the nuclear waste. It's very similar to the TVA program, which has been tremendously successful. So I think that's exciting. And when you think about South Carolina, when you think about what we have the ability to do here, guys, we have the ability to be energy independent. And I've thought to myself many times, if we're not going to do it at the federal government level, if we're not going to do it at the national level, let's do it here in South Carolina. Let's prove to America that it can be done, and let's lead the way. And I'm excited about this legislation. I'm excited about the opportunities. One of the reporters earlier, Ashley, asked me, what's the timeline? Well, we're going to drop this legislation during the 110th Congress. Unfortunately, we've got this week and probably one more week, and then we're home for the election. So we want to come out of the chute swinging this time, and then in the 111th Congress, we're going to come out swinging hard. Not only with a plan for nuclear, but a plan for South Carolina, leading South Carolina to the energy independence. And I'm excited about the process. Too many times South Carolina has always been on the back burner. Well, this is an issue, ladies and gentlemen, where we can lead the nation. Not only the Southeast, but this nation. And I'm excited about being here. I'm excited about the support we've got for this thing. And thank you for being here.